Check this out. Every now and again, the sport of boxing would deliver a fight between two fighters that would determine which one is the man of his era. Whether it was Hagler Leonard, Holyfield Lewis, Mayweather Pacquiao, September 13th, 2025 added another installment of this when we saw undisputed champion Saul Canelo Alvarez defend his undisputed crown against challenger Terence Bud Crawford. Now, before I get into the fight review, I have a few observations to make about the actual event itself. First things first, Max Kellerman is trash. Garbage. Basura. Whatever synonym you want to use, he possesses it. You had people clamoring for this dude to come back just because he could recite some hip-hop lyrics or quote a civil rights activist. But you're not fooling me. Buddy been whack juice, and his takes always been stinky. Only thing Fight Week did was stop the revisionist history being heaped upon him due to his hiatus. The next thing is Mbilli versus Martinez. This was the fight of the night. Action-packed from the first round to the last. This cat Mbilli only knows how to move forward, and neither man don't know what a sidestep is. But that's cool because it made for an entertaining scrap. It looks like a rematch is in the work, so hopefully that goes through. And hopefully another 2 rounds get added of what could be a trilogy or quadrilogy of fights. Now, a fight that was the opposite of entertaining was the co-main event. You had Callum Walsh versus Fernando Vargas Jr. Look, man, Vargas Jr., you don't have to do what Dad did, man. You don't have to follow down that road. It's other fields and occupations that could be done in this world. But boxing, though, that's not one of them. This man looked atrocious in this fight, and boxing is not a sport you can play. Which brings me to Callum Walsh, who also didn't impress in the slightest during this fight. Now, Walsh happens to be a fighter under Dana White's umbrella, and of course, just like most fighters who sign with the UFC, or in this case, Dana White's boxing endeavor, the fighter has to take a shot at Floyd Mayweather. Now, Walsh made a post-fight comment by saying, and I quote, "What's Dana trying to do is put on entertaining fights between undefeated fighters and get rid of this 50-0 thing and bring back boxing. Make boxing great again." End of quote. Fam. Callum Walsh, you're not going to have to worry about that, bruh. If this fight was the vision that Dana White has for the future of boxing, I promise you, all the melatonin, the sleep aid pills, and NyQuil, all of them is going to go out of business. Since it was the co-main event, though, it was just a piss break match. Now, let me get to what you clicked on this video for. The main event, Canelo Crawford. The biggest question I had going into this fight was, how well will Crawford's power and speed carry to 168 pounds? Can he take Canelo punches well? Within the first 4 rounds of this fight, I had all my questions answered. Not only was Crawford able to retain some level of speed and have respectable punching power, he was also able to handle Canelo's best punches pretty well. Crawford was able to maintain distance pretty well with his jab and lateral movements, which were major developments of this bout. Whenever Crawford actively used his jab, Canelo really didn't have a plan B or C to counteract it. Eddie Reynoso should be ashamed of himself because every time you would see him in the corner, he's throwing a left or right hook. When you watch round 4, which is Canelo's most dominant round of the fight, the 2 things that worked out for him was the rear-handed cross and the 2-punch combo or the 2-punch setup. And it doesn't surprise me that when he abandoned these 2 things, the fight was Bud's to control. I will say that Crawford had a lot of missed opportunities with the jab early on in the fight. In my fight prediction, I said he should invest into the body early. Now, it wasn't like Canelo was using head movement after the jabs or looking to counter it. When Bud would step in with the jab or double jab, Canelo would shell up, leaving the body wide open for a right hand to the body or even a stab jab to the body. I do believe if Bud landed these shots early in the fight, that this fight does not go to full 12. Now, through the first 6 rounds of the fight, I had it scored 4-2 Canelo. Now, granted, I know Bud had full control of the fight's pacing from round 1, but the name of the game is hit and not be hit. Round 1 was a toss-up round. The unwritten rule in boxing is that any toss-up round goes to the champion or to the A side. Round 2, Canelo landed some good body shots, such as his signature left hook that he loves to throw. Maybe a little too much, because he did become hook happy in this fight. Round 3 goes to Crawford, who had a great round, being able to time that left hook and counter it, making Canelo think twice about when and where he should throw it. Now, round 4, Bud did some good work in the initial minute of this round. But as I stated earlier, Canelo took over with the rear-handed cross and 2-punch setups. Round 5 was a nothing round on the surface level. I gave it to Canelo. I could also see Bud in this round. He had a lot of missed opportunities with the jab to the body. It was evident that the jab was something that Canelo could not solve. It perplexed him throughout the fight. And especially in this round, it's evident. This was also the round Canelo tried to Jazzy Jeff Bud out of the ring, which I believe ignited something into Bud after this round, which brings us to round 6, which I gave to Terence Crawford. He landed some nice counters, and for the first time in the fight, as I also stated in my fight prediction, whenever they get into the clinch, Bud was going to show Canelo how strong he really was. Now, from round 6 on, this fight is a straight-up wash. You could see Canelo getting gassed out after round 6, and it progressively got worse as the fight went on. As for Bud, it was the exact opposite. It seemed like he only got stronger and faster from round to round, showing off good combination punching, using his lateral movements, creating angles, the counters. Bud put it all on display. Round 9 was the best round of the fight. Both fighters had great moments. Bud's combination punching is what sealed the deal for me. This is also the same round that Bud threw the nice rear hand combo. There was also a moment in this round where an accidental head clash happened. You could throw accidental in quotes. I'll just say this. I never seen Canelo throughout this whole fight use as much head movement than he did in that clinch. But we'll just say it was accidental, right? In round 11, Bud decided to beat Canelo at his own game and punished him on the inside. Now, remember earlier I mentioned Bud missing opportunities on throwing body shots after his jabs. Well, in the second half of this fight, Bud began to do just that, and to great effect. I mean, in round 11, Bud threw a jab to the body and another one up top, and Canelo looked like he wanted to walk out of the damn ring. I had never seen a fighter of his caliber do anything like that before. And the great thing about rounds 9 and 11 is that it's not like Canelo just laid down and got completely washed in these rounds. He had great moments in both of these rounds, but it's just that Bud took his game to the next level. Now, in my prediction video, I stated that Canelo should avoid lunging at all costs and use his feints. Now, it was times where he would use his feints and get himself in certain positions, but then at some point in the fight, he started lunging, particularly with his left hook. He would lunge with the left hook. He would lunge with hooks in general, just load up on them. And when you look at the most viral exchange of the fight, it's due to Canelo lunging, right? When he does that lunge in the 12th round and Bud hit him with that shot, and you know, Canelo, he rolled with the punch, but it didn't look too good from the optics. It looked like he looking at Bud and saying, "Yo, why you hit me that hard?" Yeah, that was due to a lunge, and there was a few times where Canelo lunged in this fight, and it cost him. He got countered pretty badly. But speaking of round 12, I gave Bud round 12. If Bud wanted to push it, he could have gotten a stoppage in that round because Canelo looked physically and mentally defeated. I scored the match 8-4 for Terence Crawford. As far as performances, I give Terence Bud Crawford an A. I didn't expect him to fight this kind of fight. He showed and proved to the world why he is one of the all-time greats in the sport. Great game plan. Him and his team should be proud of the effort and performance that they displayed. So big respect to Terence Bud Crawford. I didn't think he could win this fight without a couple of knockdowns, and he proved me wrong, as he been proving many wrong throughout his entire career. The cat don't drink, don't smoke, no tattoos, laid back and clean cut. It's been a good journey watching his maturation over these past few years. Now, as for Saul Canelo Alvarez, I give him a C+, borderline B-. The in-fight adjustments is what hurts Canelo's performance the most. It was difficult for him to adjust properly to the jab. He didn't use enough head movement or even combination punching of his own. Canelo always has slow feet, so I'm not really surprised by him looking as slow as he did. But he could have minimized it with a different game plan. Canelo showed visible frustration. That again, I never seen a fighter of his caliber react in that way to something that they couldn't figure out. Canelo did have some good moments in this fight and made it competitive. I know most are kicking his back end for this loss, but me, I'm above that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save that for another video. Jokes aside, Canelo, he's a legend of the sport, whether you love him or you hate him. Now, for the actual fight score itself, I give this fight 3 3/4 stars out of 5. Good competitive bout. From a round-to-round basis, I wouldn't consider it an all-timer fight. It does has its scientificness to it. And I do think it's going to be one of those fights that's impactful for the next generations to come. What's next for these two fighters? Well, there has been talks of a rematch. I won't mind it. Canelo was the champion, and it's not like he got his ass whooped severely enough to not run it back. So, why not? Bud has hinted at possibly going to middleweight and becoming undisputed there. I also wouldn't mind that. People have been discussing Benavidez or Bivol to fight Bud next. Look, man, I don't think these fights will happen. I doubt they will. But I also doubted that Canelo versus Crawford will happen. So at this point, who knows? I don't really care to see Bud fight Benavidez or Bivol. I don't really think it's a point. I could also see Bud retiring. I mean, at this point, what more does he have left to accomplish in this sport? For Canelo, he has 2 fights left on his contract with Riyadh season. I could see him pushing heavily for this rematch, but I could also see him wanting to fight Jake Paul. Remember, earlier this year, Canelo and Jake Paul were in heavy negotiations to fight, so I could see him revisiting that at some point. I could also see Canelo retiring. I mean, just like with Bud Crawford, what more is there for him to do in the sport? What is it left to accomplish? I mean, he's practically done everything that there is to secure his legacy. So, only time will tell on what decision these men will make. But until then, do the science.